Welcome to another episode of The Brand Called You, a podcast and podcast show that brings you leadership lessons, knowledge, experience, and wisdom from thousands of successful individuals from around the world. I'm your host, Ashutosh Garg, and today I'm delighted to welcome an accomplished health coach, a well-established, well-known author from Palo Alto, California, USA, Didi Forrest. Didi, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you. Didi is a functional health coach. She's an author, and all of you know I'm very partial to authors. She's an author of a book titled Own Your Wellness. Didi is also a functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner, a whole health educator, a certified personal trainer, a corrective exercise specialist, and a performance exercise specialist. So Didi, before we talk about your book and functional health coaching, tell me about your own journey in brief, and how did your own personal health struggles shape your approach to coaching?
Sure. So I actually started my career in retail. I was managing stores for Nine West Group, and then for Kenneth Cole, and then for Say Cashmere, and was very successful working my way up the ladder and physically miserable.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up getting personal trainer certification in my spare time. And I loved working with my clients,
Mm-hmm.
but they weren't seeing huge differences in how they looked and felt.
Mm.
And so I kept going back to school over and over and over again. And of course, as I went through and learned more, I found better tools to help myself as well.
Mm.
I found out at 28 years old that I had osteoporosis.
Oh, wow.
Which is extremely young.
Mm-hmm.
And, it was the way that I had starved myself in my teens and early 20s that had led to that. And that sent me on a whole new quest to figure out how I could heal myself. And, the doctors were not giving me good answers at the time. Take your calcium pill, go exercise some more. Well, clearly that wasn't going to fix things. So it really just kept this. I've always had this thirst for new tools in my basket to help myself and my clients achieve this next level of vitality.
Amazing. Amazing. So let's talk first about your book, Own Your Wellness. And before I ask you the first question, I'm going to ask all our viewers and listeners to go and check out Didi Forrest's book, Own Your Wellness. I'm going to check out and get an order a copy for myself as well. So, Didi, what inspired you to write Own Your Wellness?
I really have struggled for years to figure out how to scale my business and what I do with my clients. It's so hard. I can only work with one person at a time. And yes, there's a group coaching ideas, but I really like to personalize what I'm doing. And when the pandemic happened, I had a little bit more time to think about this. And it occurred to me that I was spending too much time thinking about how we're all so unique, instead of considering how there's so many parallels in all of our journeys, things that we all struggle with. And I started lining up, the simple principles of health and wellness that I adhere to, nourishment, movement, testing, exploring what are the underlying causes of why you feel not well. And then, supplementation, things that I get questions about all the time. And I wanted this book. I don't know about you, but I read health and wellness books up the wazoo. Like, I have a very deep library. And in every single one, I learned all kinds of wonderful things, and I, dog-eared the pages. And then 2 weeks later, I've forgotten everything. I wanted people to really be able to implement the strategies that I'm teaching them. And so throughout the book, I ask them questions about their own lives. I have them fill out questionnaires. And then at the end, you put it all together into your own wellness plan.
Very well said. And, you also mentioned that it's important for people to identify their why. Tell me a little bit more about this, and give me an example if you can.
Yeah, I think that a lot of, we're coming up towards the holidays, right? And then the new year comes, everybody's got New Year's resolutions. I want to lose a few pounds. I want to go to the gym 5 days a week. I want to, whatever it is. And you know why they fail? Because there's not a really driving, emotionally charged reason for them to achieve that goal. If you say to yourself, yeah, I want to get into my skinny jeans again. Okay, great. But what are you going to do on the days when you're in a bad mood and you don't want to go to the gym?
Right.
And you don't want to eat the salad, or whatever it is that you've chosen to do to get to your goal. If instead you say to yourself, I lose 20 pounds, I'm going to be able to spend more time with my children and I'll be able to go to the park with them. I won't have to rely on them to take care of me because I will no longer have this diabetes diagnosis, or I am less likely to have a heart attack and leave my family behind.
Yeah.
So when you can find a truly strong reason why you want to achieve whatever your goal is, even if it's an aesthetic goal, you'll be so much more successful over the long term.
Fascinating. You also emphasize the importance of nourishment. What are some common mistakes people make when it comes to their own nutrition?
I very strategically chose the word nourish as opposed to diet because I don't think people really, I think a lot of us gloss over the concept that we're taking something from our environment, we're bringing it into our bodies. It should nourish us. It should support our goals. It should help us achieve where we're trying to go. And yes, it should taste good at the same time, right? It should be enjoyable. But if we're just thinking about calories in, calories out, or macronutrients only, we lose sight of what food really should be. And it's so easy to do nowadays because there's so many man-made food-like substances out there that are not nourishing.
Very interesting. And you also talk about supplements, vitamins, and minerals. How do these factor into the wellness strategies you have outlined in your book?
Well, they are the icing on the cake. I get questions about supplements almost every day, And yes, they have their place. I certainly take my fair share of them, but they need to be strategically implemented.
Right.
And not, I think that some people I think fall into one of two categories. Either they think they shouldn't have to take any supplements at all. They can get everything from food, which is not necessarily true. Or they think that taking all the supplements is going to fix everything. And somewhere in the middle is the truth, right? Yes. They can be very effective and helpful to help you get to where you're trying to go. But they are relatively powerful and they can actually do more harm than good if you're choosing the wrong things or taking them in the wrong way or combinations.
Very interesting. And how does your book address mental and emotional health?
I tread lightly on that topic. At least I try to, but I truly believe that if you move every day, if you try to get some sunshine, if you nourish yourself with the right foods, if you rest and you sleep, it can take you so far. As far as your mental health goes. I watch it with my children, my daughters in particular. They can be just dragging. They don't get out of the couch or out of their bedrooms. And they just go outside to walk the dogs. They come back like they're a different human being. That's pretty powerful, and it's completely free. No prescription necessary.
Correct. Great response. You also speak about overcoming health plateaus in your book. What are some of the strategies you recommend to push through these plateaus?
Well, that is actually the whole book. I mean, that is the subtitle of the book. We're all going to hit plateaus. And it starts with finding your why, right? So, you get to this, you lost 10 out of the 20 pounds you're trying to lose. That's your plateau. You're having a hard time getting past the next thing. I don't know if I would have. You need to just move one thing. And within the book and in my coaching, I give my clients so many options, ideas for ways that we can tweak the process and just see if we can get a next little bit out of it. And then when that stops working, we tweak one more thing. But what I discourage people from doing is changing everything all at once, overwhelming their systems. And then they don't know what's working, what's not working, and they give up.
Right. Very interesting. One more question relating to your book, then we'll move to the other segment. How do you approach the topic of self-compassion and forgiveness in the wellness journey?
Oh, that is a loaded question. I think that I think objectivity is probably the simplest way to do that.
Right.
And it's a hard thing for us to give to ourselves.
Yeah.
And that's why I think this book is really helpful to a lot of people,
Mm-hmm.
is it does provide you with that objectivity. I ask very specific questions and I make you think about it. In fact, there's a part of the book where I ask people to go on a little homework assignment with me where we sort of journal about your history. When did your system start? What's been going on in your life? And that pulls you out of the story yourself so that you can go back and look at it and make some better assessments. I think that makes a big difference.
Well said. So now let's talk a little bit about your being a functional health coach. Tell me a little bit about what is functional health coaching and how does it differ from traditional health coaching?
Absolutely. The functional piece of it is that, similar to functional medicine, I have access to all kinds of lab testing if we decide that we want to utilize it in your journey. But what's different about it compared to a functional medicine doctor is I'm not here to diagnose anybody. I'm here to give you answers. I'm here to have conversations and give you information. And most of the people that I work with one-on-one, they've done all the things. Like they're already eating very well. They're already prioritizing sleep. They're already moving on a regular basis, but they don't feel well. And then they go to the doctor and their blood work comes back and they're normal, right? Whatever that means.
Okay.
I'm not okay with that. I want us to feel great. You know, I mean, I'm 47 years old. I feel better than I've ever felt in my life right now, right? And I have a feeling I'm not done, right? I want people to be able to access this next level of vitality.
Correct.
And there's a lot of ways that we can do that. It's not the same path for everyone.
Absolutely. And given all the work that you do with so many different individuals, what are some of the common misconceptions about health and wellness that you have encountered?
Oh, there's so many. Well, you know, most of my clients, I'll be honest with you, are a little bit older than I am. So, I'm towards the tail end of Gen X. So most of my clients are older Gen X and young boomers, right? Well, we were all taught that fat was going to kill us, right? We were all eating fat-free diets by the time the early 90s came around. Yeah. So I still spend a lot of time dispelling that myth. That all the calories matter. Do they? Don't they? So we spend a lot of time talking about that. And it's hard to get people sort of out of this thinking. But when you ask them to just try a new way and they see a result quickly, then you can get them on board.
Well said. Well said. And what would you say are some of the key pillars of a sustainable wellness journey? I mean, we've all go through this thing of eating well, then binging, cheating,
right.
and then back again to dieting.
Right.
And as someone said to me very, very nicely, diet has the word die in it, and death has the word eat in it.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Actually, I hadn't heard that before. What are the basic pillars? Honestly, I think one of the most important pieces of this puzzle is constant change, embracing the constant of change. It is my logo. I have it tattooed on my neck. It is the crux of everything that I do with my clients and in my life. The way that I achieve my wellness now is drastically different than what I did even 10 years ago. I mean, even 5 years ago, things have changed greatly. And instead of getting stuck in my rut and choosing to not budge, I have to make adjustments. My goals are different. And I think that, if people can allow themselves, we were talking about objectivity earlier, that objectivity allows you to embrace the changes that are coming and to try new things.
Well said. And Didi, how do you integrate nutrition, movement, and mental health into your coaching strategies?
I actually don't tell my clients exactly what to eat. I am not that kind of a coach. If you want that kind of coach, you got to go somewhere else. I give them principles. Okay. You know, right now we're working on this. I would like you to work within this framework. Maybe here's what your plate should sort of look like, you know, and then I have them track what they're eating and I can check in with them. When it comes to movement, I do still have some personal training clients, although not a lot. But instead, I encourage my client, I give my clients strategies to implement over the next 6 to 8 weeks. Okay. We're going to do this work, this type of workout on these days, this on these days. Once that stops working, we're going to make these adjustments. And then what was the last piece you asked me about? Mental health?
No, I also said, how do you integrate nutrition, movement, and mental health into your coaching?
And mental health. And, you know, honestly, I wish I had minored in psychology, because whether you're a personal trainer or a health coach, you just form these beautiful relationships with people.
Correct.
And I think the biggest part of the biggest part of the mental health support I give to my clients is just listening. Listening to them and engaging with them, because I don't think we get a lot of that in a lot of our relationships nowadays.
Yeah, well said. And what, in your view, is the role of mindset when it comes to achieving long-term wellness goals?
Again, going back to your why. Your mindset has to be rooted in why in the heck am I trying to do this? You know, in fact, I tell my clients to write it on pieces of paper, put it in their bathroom, put it in the cupboard in the kitchen, wherever they need to see it. Because the more we see it and we feel it, the more likely we are to make decisions that lead us in that direction.
Wonderful. So I've got time for 2 more questions for you. Okay. Can you tell us a little bit about the role of functional diagnostic nutrition?
Yeah. You know, again, it just allows us the ability to not just tell you or encourage you in how to move and how to nourish yourself, but it actually helps us get specific answers. So by that, I mean, you know, I have my brother, for example, is dealing with an autoimmune condition that the doctors could not find any evidence of what's actually happening with him. They ran all the blood work, right? I ran a stool test. We took a look at what's happening in his gut. And lo and behold, there's plenty of work to be done, right? That is just a small example of the digging that I can do to help people get to the root of what's actually going on with them.
Okay. And my last question, I come back to your book. How would you like your book, Own Your Wellness, to impact the broader conversation around health and wellness?
I would like Own Your Wellness to encourage people to question themselves, to constantly evolve what they're doing and to not get stuck.
Well said. And on that note, Didi, and your very powerful comment of ask your why, understand your why, identify your why. Thank you so much for speaking to me about your book, Own Your Wellness. I thought we covered some very interesting points in your book, and I'm sure a lot of our viewers and listeners will go and check out your book. Thank you also for speaking to me about functional health coaching and some very different aspects of health coaching, which is very different from the standard coaching that most of us have been used to listening about. Thank you for speaking to me, and good luck to you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Brand Called You videocast and podcast, a platform that brings you knowledge, experience, and wisdom of hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. Do visit our website, www.tbcy.in, to watch and listen to the stories of many more individuals. You can also follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just search for the Brand Called You.